for such an introduction. Now I have a little bit the pressure to be able to deliver the value that you are expecting. So I will present the project and what we are doing in Airbus, which is called Digital Design, Manufacturing and Services, but mainly what I am willing to deliver is what is the level of ambition we have in front of us. And it was said in the introduction why the world is changing and the speed of change is becoming just incredible. And so I will start by probably something that you are not expecting in such a conference, which is this type of photo. Just for us to share on the left side versus the right one, which is the time this guy needed to make this transformation, and mainly what they have delivered, because we should say, okay, we are looking for a new generation of product, a new generation of the way we are going to operate, and now we are going to make something fantastic. I think we need to be humble in all what we are doing, because if we look what this guy did on the left side, so it was in the 60s, they did Concorde, not so bad. It's the time of the 737 from Boeing, the 747 for Boeing, so that means quite impressive products which were done in the 60s, working with this type of tool, processes, industrial means. More or less, it took 45 years to go to the right. Well, there were small steps, but I think the big step was 45 years later, in the year 2005. And we went to the 320 in the middle, 320 first flight, and the flagship of Airbus, the A380 first flight, which was in 2005. So 45 years for the first step. And then a second step came, and for this second step, it took 12 years. So I mean, we start to accelerate. We went from 45 to 12, and what we can see when we look in 2017, 18, what was the type of things which were popping up, it was a little bit more than an aircraft. It was an aircraft, it was infrastructure, it was the environment, and you have some key dates, so the first flight of the A350-900, Solar Impulse World Tour, which I think is an important event also, what SpaceX did with the booster ground landing. So I mean, quite a big step, and it took 12 years. And now the key question we have all to answer is what's next, and how long do we have to make it happen? And the answer we have for Airbus, but I think it's not only for Airbus, it's probably for the whole aeronautical industry, is more or less within plus minus 1 year. We have 5 years in front of us. So we have to move from something which was 45, 12 years to 5 years. So huge acceleration. And what is really the value we must deliver now through this transformation? And we have clustered it with 4 bullet points. Customer value, it's obvious. What we are doing is not just for the sake of making beautiful and marvelous aircraft, is we need to deliver value for our customer. They are buying something which is creating value. We need to be much more engaged in what we call support and services. I mean, again, it's linked to delivering value to the customers. I will be back on that. Industrial efficiency is a key item and really something where we need to make a step change. And in a few slides, you will understand the level of ambition we have on this industrial efficiency. And one of the key points that we have not to miss is the society expectation. We have a role which is more to connect from point A to point B. We have a role with our industry versus the society. We have a key role to play. So the way we have answered to this point in Airbus is a program that we have called Digital Design, Manufacturing and Services. And now I will explain and detail a little bit more what does it mean, what is the level of ambition we have set, how we want to tackle that, and why I will say it's a race, and we need to accelerate the speed of innovation and the speed of change. So if I give a little bit of context for the ones which are not fully familiar of the Airbus world, we have a huge backlog of aircraft to be delivered. That means we have more than 7,000 aircraft in backlog to be delivered in the coming years. So it's quite huge. It means we have 7 or 8 years of production in front of us, and we have an increasing demand. That means every day, mainly on what we call the single-aisle market. So single-aisle market means what is called the A3, Airbus A320 or Airbus A321. We have additional requests. So we need to increase the production rate. We are already producing at rate which are in the range of 60 aircraft every month, which means that every 6 hours we are building 1 aircraft. so which is not what we are used to do in the past, but we need to continue to increase. We need to focus on sustainable growth, and I will come back many times on this point because it's a key element in the way we are addressing the transformation. And the environment is very competitive. Today, there are two players, mainly, in this business, which are Boeing, Airbus. Tomorrow, in 5–10 years, there will be new players, which will be really very serious and good competitors. So that means if we want to continue to lead and to steer the market, we need to take that into account and not to be in a position where we say, okay, there is a duopoly, let's go. We have opportunities and we have challenge, which is good. In every transformation, there are opportunities, there are risks, and it's why I would say it's pushed the system to deliver more value. So clearly the cost and the on-time delivery is key. When airlines are buying aircraft, they want to get the aircraft on a given date with the level of quality they are asking for. We are working with an ecosystem to develop and with suppliers, with partners. And it's clear that they have to be on board because if we make the transformation only internal Airbus will fail. And we need to generate new values. That means we need to deliver value again to our customers. So what are the breakthroughs? Production, industrial system, ramp up. I will be back. Maturity, I will explain why. Service development, creating this value. And again, sustainability. So the way we are running this digital transformation with the speed that you have seen before can no longer be, I will say, by step. Saying, okay, we make a very long R&D program lasting 5–6 years, and then we see if we can start to deploy that. That means we are applying something where the speed is of essence. And you can see this scheme where, in fact, the process we are putting in place is we are scouting subjects, we are making incubation on subjects, we identify our critical pain points, we make quick demonstration, that means the loop of demonstration must be very short. Then we industrialize, we apply, and we continue to change. I mean, it's not something where we can say in 5 years we'll make a massive step in terms of transformation and change, and it's good for 5, 10, 15 years. No. Now we are in a process where we need all the time to learn, to improve, and to get really all the new ideas, the innovation. And so the innovation is key because the value will come through the innovation and through the acceleration of the industrialization of this innovation. So for us, in Airbus, we say digital continuity is the end game. What we want to explain by that is today we are working with suppliers. We are working on design, the way we are designing our products. With manufacturing, we support, that means the information we get from the airlines when the aircraft are in operation, and the feedback that the customer can give us. Whatever customer, meaning it can be an airline, it can be an airport. And you have heard about that. We have put something that we call Skywise, which allows us to connect and to create a digital continuity. It's what we call the rebuilt continuity. It's not a continuity by design, it's a rebuilt continuity. What we are targeting through the project we are putting in place is, we call it a native digital continuity. That means the information, the processes, and the way we're operating must flow in a continuous and a single process to accelerate, to create more value, and to ease the exchange between all the disciplines and all the skills. So today we have a lot of data, more or less spread in different systems, different locations, different organizations. And what we want is what we call a data-driven decision. That means we need to be able to connect all the dots and to have something where we are really getting the right information, that the people who need the information are getting this information at the right time to get the right, to take the right decision. So the job is to develop all these enablers to make it happen. And I will detail what are the 5 bricks, the 5 pillars that we are developing and putting in place to make it happen. And the first one, the 2 first ones which are on this one are quite key, which are culture, organization, but organization is a little bit a consequence, people and skill. In fact, all what we are doing rely, it's quite obvious, but it's better to say, rely on people, rely on the fact that people can bring value to the system and people also understand the value that it is generating for them. If it's pure technical stuff and we don't embark the people, we'll fail. So just to give a flavor of the ambition we have, this is what we call the nine key ambition for the future. I mean, what we have to deliver in terms of value for the next generation. I will start by production ramp-up. You have seen in the previous slide that the volume of aircraft which is requested and that the market need is increasing every day. So that means when we change the generation of product, we need to be able to deliver very rapidly this new aircraft, this new generation of product to the market, to the customers. Just to give you a flavor, I will not give detailed numbers, but the order of magnitude of the improvement we are looking versus what we have done and what I will say the other industry have done, all the aeronautical industry has done in the past, is to multiply by 10 the speed of ramp-up, by 10. So we are not trying to increase by 10 or 20% the factor. The ratio we are looking for is 10, which means that it cannot be an incremental improvement. It has to be a revolution. It has to be a breakthrough. When you are in such volume of production, it's clear that the quality of what you deliver and the maturity of what you are delivering is a must, because you are delivering hundreds and thousands of aircraft every year, which means that if you have an issue in terms of maturity of quality, it's just unmanageable because you are creating a massive burden for the customers. It's why we are moving to a concept, for the one we are used to this type of strange language, to move from operational reliability, that means we say we will be reliable with a very high percentage, but the drawback is, nevertheless, from time to time, we can have an issue, to what we call the operational availability, which is that we'll commit to our customer to say you have bought an aircraft and your aircraft will fly 100% of the time. And we will put in place the means to make it happen. It's an opportunity for us to develop services, the way we are supporting and bringing value to our customers. And we need to work also on design for value. That means we cannot only increase the cost, we need to find a way to master the cost of our product for a very simple reason. In fact, the airlines are buying tickets at a given price. As passengers, we are not willing to pay more for the tickets, which means that the airlines are not willing to buy the aircraft at a higher price than what they are doing today, which means that we need to master the cost. So this is a big challenge, because on the cost, the order of magnitude, again, of what we are looking for is a two-digit number. We are not looking for 2–3% of improvement on the cost. It's a two-digit target. So this is a revolution. It was said in the introduction. This is a step change. This is not incremental. So I will try to explain the way tomorrow we are going to work and what we are developing and the bricks that we are already experiencing in Airbus. In fact, to have an aircraft which is fully mature at the entry into service the day you are delivering the first one, and that you can commit that in 2–3 months you are going to deliver more than 100 aircraft, because it will be the speed of delivery we will have. It means that in the early stage, when we are designing, when we define what will be the product, we need to define not only the product, the aircraft itself, but we need to define the way we are going to manufacture the aircraft. So we need to define what we call the product, the industrial system, and when I speak about the industrial system, I don't speak about Airbus industrial system. I speak about the overall ecosystem industrial system, because if we optimize only what we do internally and we don't optimize the full system, it will not deliver. It's as simple as that. So I mean, we need to ensure that the way we are developing the aircraft is done at exactly the same time on the way we are developing the industrial system, and also that we are able to analyze and simulate the way the aircraft will be used, which is a small mosquito on the lower part of the slide, which is planned to simulate support and services. And how to do it is by changing completely the way we are working, by working really on the three aspects: product, industrial system, support and services at the same time, by working on that mainly by simulation in what we call the virtual world, and by ensuring that all the data is captured in a single platform, in a single data structure, what we call the digital backbone, to be sure that if you change something on the aircraft, you know immediately what is the impact on the industrial system or on support and services. On the opposite, if you want to improve something in the way the aircraft is operating by an airline, you simulate it and you know immediately, does it change something on the design of the aircraft? Does it change something in the way we manufacture the aircraft? So by working in this so-called virtual co-development, we are developing what is called the twins. Probably you heard about that. We'll have a twin of the product, a twin of the industrial system, and a twin of the support and services. And by working in this digital environment, we'll be able to find what is the best solution by simulation, what we call the best-in-class solution. And then we can move to execution, what we call physical execution and optimization. And here we will have two key points to run. The first one, we'll execute what we have optimized. And we'll check in real time, thanks to IoT, to data capture, to machine learning, to artificial intelligence. We'll capture all the data to say, okay, we are where we are targeting to be, and we can compare always what is a model, I will say, what is the ambition we had, and what we are able to deliver. And also, we will feed back all this information into the digital twins, into the virtual worlds, to optimize in real time the models, to be able to capture any information, to be sure that we can anticipate what will come after. Because if later on we make a modification on an aircraft, if later on we increase the production rate, the number of aircraft per month, we need to be sure that there is not a weak signal, something which is not critical today, but which can become critical in 6 months, 1 year of that. So in fact, it's why you see the big arrows, which is really the link between the so-called physical world and the digital one. So it's a massive change in the way we're operating, but at the same time, it's a must. And in this must, we need to embark any new idea, any innovation, because we have to make it in the coming, let's say, 3 to 4 years, so which is quite a challenging time. So thanks to that, we are going to change in Airbus, more or less, the way of operating of the company, because we will change our processes, we'll change our method tools, the business model, the way of working, and the organization as said it. And it makes this step change in terms of operational efficiency with the target 9 bullet points that I quoted before. So it's really a massive change. And the bricks are the following one, very quickly. One is what we call product line. This is something which is well known in the car industry, but not so much in the aeronautical industry, is can we define an aircraft as a combination of modules that we can develop, mature, industrialize in advance. So it's what we call modular customization. It's key because, as you know, an aircraft is very, very much customized, and so the parts that we are able to reuse from one aircraft to the next are very, very limited today. The second one is what I have called co-development. Co-development means that at the same time, we will find the optimum, taking into account not only the product, but really the product, industrial system, support and services, giving means to the guys up to the shop floor to really give the feedback, propose idea, and make step in terms of, I would say, of performance by simulating all these items. One of the key points is to work on design for value. We need to ensure that what we are delivering is creating, again, value for the customers and that the team are buying, if I can call it like that, this type of evolution. The third pillar, which is quite obvious, we are going to work much more in the virtual world, in the digitalization aspect. So we need to be able to make modeling and simulation. Sometimes it's called model-based system engineering, but I prefer to simplify the presentation to call it modeling and simulation, which is to have the capability to create model, to simulate, and to compare in a very early stage different solutions, again, whatever product, industrial system, operation, services. And obviously, if we want to make it, we need to have a continuous flow of data, a continuous flow of know-how, because what is creating the value will be sharing the know-how and sharing the data. That means it will not be something what I will call fragmented, but really we need to ensure data and know-how continuity between the partners of Airbus and Airbus. As I said again, it cannot be simply something run in isolation by Airbus. And all these 4 pillars, which are on the lower part, are, I will say, relying on the key one, which is transformation and competence. Because at the end of the day, if we are delivering new tools, technical stuff, but not embarking the people and not getting, I will say, the buy-in of the team and all the good ideas that all the operational guys can get and the way they are really pushing to make the things happen, at the end of the day, we'll have something which is perhaps great, but will not be used I would say, on the shop floor. This is something which is really important because we have spent some time in the last year to benchmark with other companies. I will not give names. And in fact, it was a mistake that they did. They did a project which was very much, we provide tools, new ways of working, that mean very conceptual, theoretical, without having the operational guy and working on the skill, on the competence of the buying, and on the integration of the ecosystem in this transformation, and they failed. And they had to launch a second program, and they have lost nearly, at least one of the company had lost nearly 4 years by doing it like that. So some few examples, we are already applying it. So we have a project around Nacelle, what we call Nacelle Innovative Solution, where we are really working on that with an entry into service of this solution in 2022. So that means we are not in a pure theoretical story. We are really already implementing this solution now on the field and learning also by iteration, by proof of concept. And as I said with the sketch I have shown earlier, that means we test, we learn, we accelerate, we test, we learn, we accelerate. We are doing it also on some industrial system evolution. So this is something that we have done on what we call a final assembly line, where in fact through movies, cameras, combined with, you will see just after, some simulation. In fact, we have coupled the two to be able to play scenarios and to optimize the way we're operating. The aim of what we did on this specific subject was to anticipate what will come in 6-12 months. So we are willing to calibrate and to have a model to be able to anticipate what will come in 6 or 12 months. So, other key takeaway, Airbus is in the middle of a major transformation, and I think to take the word you use at the introduction, it's more revolution than a transformation. We are really in front and in the facing a revolution, and it's really, really something which is amazing, and that all together we must deliver. That means it's not only an Airbus story, it's something that we need to deliver for the industry, because if we miss that, we'll miss what is needed by the customers, and so we'll have a major problem to deliver the value the customer, and we are part of these customers, because we are using a lot, the aircraft are expecting. We are going to change operating models. We are going to change completely, you have understood, the way we are developing, because it's not only, I would say, product focus, but it's really product industrial system, and the industrial part with this jump breakthrough in terms of rate, the factor 10 I was quoting, is key. And it's probably the area where we need to put the maximum effort, because this is a step we need to do in the coming, as I said, 2 or 3 years. So we need to deliver program efficiency, value for the customer, I think it's quite clear. And we need to work really on embarking the people, working with the ecosystem, getting new ideas, because we know what are the ambitions we have, but there are many initiatives which are running in some R&T forum, in some startup, etc., which can bring a massive value to this transformation. And it has to be part of the transformation. As I said, it cannot be done in isolation. So you saw it at the end. That means driver for value is really our ambition and our aim, and we are very clear on that. And what we are putting in place is what is on the right, and that I have already commented, is this integrated process, working much more in the digital, in the simulation, and in what we call the feedback loop. That means from IoT to virtual world and to simulation. So just to conclude, I put a sentence from something which is probably not a king of the digital. At least at that time, I think he was not referring so much to digital, but I think what he said is interesting and is fully what we have in mind in Airbus and we are targeting. And a small photo. I will start by the small photo. You have understood, I started by a guy quite old. I think in the 60s, he has the age I have today. But which was making some sketch like that. But all what we are doing today is for this young kid. That means what we are doing, the next generation of aircraft we are going to deliver will enter into service, let's say, in 5-10 years. But an aircraft is flying 30-40 years. So I mean, this aircraft that we are designing and the way we will operate in the coming years will fly in 40 years. So that means this young kid we'll see this aircraft flying in 40 years. So what we are doing, and it's why I was insisting a lot on sustainability, on society, is also for this young kid, and we need to keep that in mind when we are working. And as I said, the digital guru Abraham Lincoln was saying, the best way to predict your future is to create it. And I think it's exactly what we are doing now. We are creating the future with a speed, and I will say a domain that we are willing to cover, which has never been done in the past. And again, I insist on this message, Airbus will not do it alone. And we did really all of you, your contribution, that you challenge us, that we test new ideas, and if we fail, it's not a drama, at least we learn, but really that we go, and we go quick. Thanks for your time.